Hi kids, Funmi here. I haven't seen or heard from you guys in a very long time. Last time I saw you guys was in March, and I'm pretty sure after 4 months, because we're in July, I'm pretty sure you guys are so big right now. You'll probably be my height or almost my height. Yeah. For those of you who do not remember me, or for those of you who are just joining us, my name is Funmi, like I mentioned earlier, and I'm one of the coordinators with CSA Kids. Well, since this week is the 3rd week of the Blueprint series, and the Blueprint series is a series which basically talks about our feelings and what we do when we feel a certain kind of way. And this week we'll be talking about Nehemiah in the Bible. So before we start, I would like to ask us an icebreaker question. And the question for this week is, what is your favorite TV show or cartoon? Now, I don't really keep up to date with the kids' TV anymore because it's been so long since I saw my niece and my nephew. But last I checked, Baby Shark was the reigning thing. That was so last year, boy. And I know PJ Masks, I believe I'm pronouncing that right, is also one of the favorites among you guys. So feel free to comment below and tell me what your favorite TV show is. I'm asking you this because I'm going to reference this back at the end of this lesson. So onto the lesson, or onto the story for today. The story for today was taken out of the book of Nehemiah, chapter 1 through to chapter 6, and I would advise you to go through these chapters during the week to keep yourself busy, and also to make sure you're involved in God's word. Well, let's start with the story. I know the flashcards are somewhere on the screen beside my face, maybe to my right or to my left, I'm not sure. Okay, so the man in the blue hat, sorry, I was looking at my screen right here, so I basically say the right thing for you guys. The man in blue hat is Nehemiah, and the man in the red shirt is the king. Well, because he has a crown on his head. I'm pretty sure if we're together, we would have made something as cool as a crown, because we always make cool things at CSA Kids. Okay, let's go back to the lesson. So Nehemiah was one of the king's helpers. He really helped the king out, and he was one of the king's best. So Nehemiah had heard from a couple of people who were passing through the town that the wall surrounding his hometown had basically fallen down. And I just want you guys to imagine, you live in a house with your family, with every single person you love, and maybe your fence falls. And then the fence is there for a reason, right? To protect you. So without a fence, basically, you're not so safe anymore. Like without a fence, if you had a fence guarding you before. And that was how it was in those days. The fence was basically there to protect his people from intruders, and his people from basically people who didn't like them or something like that. And when he heard that his fence had fallen, or the fence that surrounded his hometown had fallen, Nehemiah was very upset. He was sad because it meant that his people weren't really safe anymore. And he asked the king to allow him to go back to his hometown to rebuild the wall. It wasn't actually called a fence. It was called a wall back in those days, like a very giant wall. And guess what the king said? The king said yes. Yes. The king said yes. So Nehemiah packed up a few things and started going back home to go rebuild the wall. Now, while Nehemiah and his friends were rebuilding the wall, there were some very angry people for some funny reason. I don't realize why they were angry. They were angry most likely because they were rebuilding the wall. And the people who were angry began to insult Nehemiah and his friends, who had been trying to rebuild the wall to make sure that their people were safe once again. So the people who were angry were basically throwing insults at Nehemiah and his friends and making fun of them and saying very mean things. Now, I want you to imagine, let's say, I have no idea what example to give, but I would like to give the example of a bully. And you guys know how a bully can be, someone who just basically torments you at school or something like that. And Nehemiah was kind of in a situation like this. He had someone who was basically, he had a group of people who were making fun of him and doing a whole bunch of things to him to basically upset him. And well, let's continue on with the story to see what Nehemiah's reaction was to this. Sorry guys, I keep saying I'm trying to follow the story cards accordingly. So Nehemiah got mad, right? But did he say any mean thing to them? No, he didn't. What Nehemiah did instead was to stop, and he prayed to God and basically asked God for help. Now, I want you guys to take from this story that whenever something upsets you, or whenever whenever you are angry about something, you can always feel free to run to God and ask him for help, because he will always show up for you and help you in one way or the other. And basically, after Nehemiah had stopped to pray and ask God for help, God helped Nehemiah to do the right thing, which is the takeaway from this story. The fact that Nehemiah stopped when he was angry. Instead of him doing something mean and acting out, or maybe throwing a tantrum or something, Nehemiah didn't do any of that. What he did instead was to stop and he prayed to God and he asked God for help to do the right thing, and God helped him to do the right thing. Nehemiah didn't insult the people back, he didn't fight them, he didn't do anything to them. He just asked God for help and God helped him. So like I said earlier, in reference to why I asked you what your favorite TV show was at the beginning of this session, was because, well, if basically using the example of my sister who has 2 kids, my cousins, my niece and my nephew are basically always watching TV, or they always want to watch TV. But sometimes for their own benefit, my sister tells them to go read their books because they can't watch TV all day. And sometimes my little nephew, who doesn't really understand anything that much, gets upset because my sister asked him to go read his books or go learn his numbers and something like that. And sometimes he just throws a tantrum. The reason why I'm referencing this is just because I want you to realize that even maybe when you're on a timeout from TV, or maybe your parents say you can't do this, don't just and you get angry, do not disrespect them, don't act out. Instead, just stop like Nehemiah did. Remember, Nehemiah stopped and he prayed to God and he asked God for help. So that's what I want you to do. So next time you feel upset about anything, if a friend upsets you or does anything to get you angry, do not hit them, don't shout back at them, don't insult them. I just want you to stop and pray to God to ask you for help, and he will help you heal and he will help you do the right thing. Now, well, that's basically the end of the lesson for this week, and I want you guys to remember that when you are mad, when you are angry, when you are upset, God helps you. So before I forget, the memory verse for this week is taken from Ephesians chapter 4 verse 26, and it says, when you are angry, do not sin. Do not let the sun go down while you are still angry. So don't stay mad at anyone. Always remain cheerful. I always remember you guys as cheerful children whenever I remember CSA Kids, and I'm sure you will keep the faith too, and you also remain cheerful. Well, I miss you guys, and I'm pretty sure every other volunteer with CSA Kids misses you guys too. This is the end of today's lesson. God bless you and God be with you. Okay, goodbye.